It is nearly Halloween, so here are my favorite scary movies of all time. Let's do it.
But tonight's show, which I totally wash my hands of, is really scary.
What's up guys, it's Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. If you like pop culture content like this, hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's do today's video. So horror is probably my favorite movie genre of all time, and there are so many amazing horror films that I have watched over the years. I think it's really interesting because when I was a kid, I was the biggest scaredy cat in every movie. I used to get scared at the ogre version of Princess Fiona in Shrek.
Ah! No! Oh no, help! Shrek! Shrek! Shrek!
Okay.
I'm serious, I could not watch Shrek because that just scared me so much.
My God, you ate the princess! Can you hear me?
Donkey!
Listen, keep breathing!
But I guess as I grew up, I don't really get affected very much by scary movies at all anymore, and I just find them really entertaining to watch. And so in this video, because it's nearly Halloween, I want to talk about some of my favorite horror movies of all time. This is not a comprehensive list. I'm probably just going to talk about 5 movies. Plus, the other thing to keep in mind is that this is my opinion, not yours. You have your opinion and I have mine, and you don't have to agree with me. And that's the beauty of being a human being.
I'm a real boy!
So without further ado, I would love to start. These are in no particular order, but one of my favorite more recent horror movies is the Australian film Talk to Me.
Now say, talk to me.
Talk to me.
This was directed by the Raka Raka brothers, Danny and Michael Philippou, and it's just a really great new horror concept that I haven't really seen before in any movie. I actually watched this on a plane in Spain, but it completely encapsulated that flight, and I've watched it again since, and it is just amazing. Basically, a bunch of teenagers find this hand that takes you into this like possessed state when you say, "Talk to me."
Talk to me.
Which leads to one of the teenagers getting like permanently possessed and causing a lot of issues in their life. I do really enjoy supernatural horror, and this is definitely in that catalog, but it is so well scripted, the acting is amazing, and some of the music is just incredible.
Amazing.
Also recent, another one of my favorite horror movies of all time is Midsummer.
We shall go now to Siv's house.
What's this?
It's a special meeting only for the queens, and she will bless you.
This is an Ari Aster film, and this one is a really strange horror movie because it's not like supernatural in any way. This is more of like a psychological folk horror movie, and it is just one of the most bizarre and strange movies I've ever watched. Like, there aren't jump scares really in this movie. The fear is more the psychological fear of what you are seeing unfold. Ari Aster is just such a fantastic auteur and director. His first horror feature, Hereditary, is also really good, but Midsommar basically sees a group of teenagers or young people going to this like Amish kind of folk festival, I think in Sweden, which ends up being a cult. They do human sacrifices and like burn people alive, and it's just absolutely absurd. And if you've seen it, you will know what I'm talking about when I say the cliff scene is just so unexpected and crazy. I would highly recommend Ari Aster's work, and especially Midsommar, because this movie just completely sucked me in. Another movie in the psychological side of horror, but also a little bit sci-fi supernaturally, is Jordan Peele's movie Get Out.
Get out.
Sorry, man.
Okay.
Get out!
This is probably one of the most sophisticated horror movies I've ever seen, and it works on so many levels. Like, what's on screen is scary, but the movie is also kind of a critique of the way black people are treated in America and the history of racism against African Americans.
I imagine that I owe you all an apology.
No. We're just very happy that you're yourself again.
And again, I think the eeriness of what is happening as this white woman brings home her new partner, a black man, to meet her family for the first time, and everything kind of feels normal at first until things really start unfolding and they become quite harrowing. I really like the social commentary of this film mixed in with a horrific concept, and just some of the psychological torture the main character goes through during this movie is so great to watch on screen. Obviously not great for the character, but great to watch as a viewer. I guess we're going backwards chronologically here because the next movie that I highly recommend you watch is Saw.
Obviously, this cop thinks you're the one behind it all.
I told you, he's not a cop. He's a bottom feeder. Just like you.
Saw is not supernatural at all. In fact, it's very much grounded in reality and deals a lot with morality.
Every day of your working life, you have given people the news that they're going to die soon. Now you will be the cause of death.
I guess Saw is often labeled as gore or even body horror, which is very much what it is, but I actually think the way these movies, particularly the first one, are crafted are just incredible. Funnily enough, Saw also came out of Australia at RMIT University, which I went to, by the way, Bachelor of Communications Media. James Wan, the creator, was a student at RMIT and made a short film that ended up being reworked into Saw. While they can be really confronting and gory to watch, if you can stomach that, they are really engaging and do explore like the morality of like people's actions and what are you willing to do to atone for your past sins, I suppose. Now, there are over 10 entries in the Saw franchise now, and I've got to say I've seen all of them and personally I love them. But what I particularly like about this franchise is every single one ends with a huge twist that you didn't expect. I mean, the best is probably this first Saw. The twist at the end is just crazy, like you wouldn't believe it. And I also think John Kramer, aka the Jigsaw Killer, is just one of the best movie villains of all time.
You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Okay, last but not least is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and it is the original Friday the 13th from 1980.
The boy. Is he dead too?
Who?
The boy, Jason.
This movie, I think, is a masterpiece and really pioneers the slasher genre, or maybe even perfects it. Halloween was a few years before this and was also a slasher in a similar style, but I feel like what Friday the 13th achieves is so much stronger. Often the camera in this film serves as like the murderer who is like voyeuristically watching on these teenagers as they're on this camp. It's very fly on the wall, like you're watching these things happen and you can kind of hear the breathing of the killer before they go in and kill. And Friday the 13th has had many sequels over the years, but to be honest, like compared to Saw, I think the format becomes stale after a few. It basically is the same movie every single time.
Are they all dead?
Yes, ma'am.
They basically just try to reel you in with like naked ladies and gore. That being said, this first one is great. There's a great twist. And I think the funniest thing about Friday the 13th is like the iconic Jason, the killer who wears the hockey mask, doesn't actually appear wearing that mask until the third movie in the franchise. I just feel like that's an interesting bit of trivia that one of the most iconic horror movie images of all time is not in the first movie from its franchise. I think that actually just goes to show how popular the Friday the 13th movies were, that so many people were still going to see them by the third one, and that symbol from the third one became so iconic.
What, do you want to see my new chainsaw and hockey mask? Oh, sorry.
So those are my favorite horror movies of all time. I'm going to do a follow-up video on this about my favorite children's horror movies of all time, so stay tuned for that with a bunch of scary content coming this Halloween. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay tuned on all of my pop culture, movie, video game, music, TV, videos, all of that stuff. If there's something you want me to talk about, definitely leave a comment below and let me know what are your top 5 horror movies of all time and what do you think of my list. Again, it's subjective, don't be rude about it. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. You can subscribe to my Patreon, check out my other videos, and do all of the stuff that you do. I'm all over the internet doing dumb stuff that I think is cool. Links all in the description. That's it from me. My name's Radio Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind, and I'll catch you later.